Imagine waking up today and realizing that everything you believed about money was incomplete. What if I told you that attracting millions doesn't start with how much you earn, but with what you decide to master internally? You see, most people live at the mercy of financial chance, waiting for a raise, an opportunity, a stroke of luck. I chose the opposite. I turned discipline into wealth. And in this video, I'm not here to motivate you with empty phrases. I'm here to give you the 21 financial skills that, when practiced with precision, not only attract money, they keep it. But first, answer me honestly. Are you truly willing to abandon the habits that have kept your bank account in the same place for years? If your answer is yes, then get ready. Because this mentoring program will be a game changer. The first skill I developed at the age of 7 was mastering personal accounting. When I helped harvest potatoes on a neighbor's farm and received my first coins, my mother taught me to record every penny. I wrote down how much I earned, how I spent it, and where I saved it. This simple habit became my greatest protection against financial ignorance. What is not measured cannot be multiplied. Those who don't know where their money goes will soon be asking where it went. The second skill is disciplined reinvestment of profits. Most people consume everything they earn. I reinvested. Every penny left over was seed money. And like any wise sower, I understood. What you plant, you reap. Instead of spending the profits from my first company, I reinvested them in assets. That's why my fortune grew even while I slept. Income that works for you is more powerful than 16 hours of manual labor. The third skill is invisible, but absolutely essential. Emotional control in financial decisions. I have seen brilliant men lose fortunes because they acted out of fear or greed. I have seen negotiations fall apart because of a wounded ego. In the market, it's not the smartest who wins. It's the most balanced. Every time I took a deep breath before making a decision, I saved millions. Self-control is the shield against impulses that lead to poverty. Fourth skill, long-term vision with strategic patience. When I started in the oil industry, many laughed. They said it was unstable, dangerous, temporary. I saw beyond that. I saw an empire where others saw risk. I waited, built, consolidated. While the hasty sought immediate profit, I dug deep foundations. And time, my greatest ally, multiplied my results. True wealth is not built in days, it is built over decades. Fifth skill, economy as an art of wisdom, not deprivation. I learned to save not out of fear, but out of strategy. I saved to invest, not to accumulate dust in a safe. My focus has always been on efficiency. Every penny saved was one more soldier marching toward the expansion of my empire. The sixth skill is austerity as a way of life, even in abundance. When my fortune had already exceeded any imaginable limit, I continued to live simply. I wore the same watch for years. My clothes were discreet. My dinner table was quiet. Because money should serve its purpose. Never your ego. Those who flaunt their wealth lose focus. I chose the opposite. Quiet wealth, loud action. The seventh skill that led me to build unbreakable alliances was negotiating with firmness and serenity. I never yelled in a meeting room. I never humiliated anyone. But I also never gave in without logic. When you know your worth, you negotiate with presence. Great deals are closed in the silence of conviction, not in the noise of arrogance. The eighth skill is an obsessive focus on mastering one sector before expanding. While many tried to open 1,000 doors at once, I chose to close all but one, oil. For years, I only accepted meetings that involved this market. I mastered every link in the chain, from extraction to distribution. When I finally expanded, my foundation was indestructible. And it is this foundation that transforms a business into a legacy. The ninth skill was one of the most decisive, choosing partners who were wiser and more honest than me. I surrounded myself with men who challenged me, who corrected me, who complimented me. When you are the smartest person in the room, your company is doomed. But when you're the most humble, it flourishes. I chose partners with character, not just resumes. And it was this network of trust that protected me in storms. 10th skill, strengthen your reputation as invisible capital. Reputation is the asset that precedes your presence. It enters the room before you and remains after you leave. I treated it as an asset. I have never broken a contract. I have never left a promise unfulfilled. Because a good reputation reduces costs, attracts allies, and closes deals even when you are silent. Now stop for a moment. Of these first 10 skills, which one is most lacking in your life today? Which one, if practiced for just 30 days, would drastically change your financial reality? You don't have to answer me. Answer yourself, and with courage. And if that answer moved you, then write it now in the comments with the strength of a personal commitment. Comment: today I begin my change. Those who write activate their minds for transformation. Those who declare invite destiny to walk beside them. 11th skill, spirituality applied to building wealth. It's never just about money. It's always about purpose. I believed, and continue to believe, that wealth is a sacred instrument. When you understand that your fortune should be used to heal, educate, elevate, then money begins to flow differently. It becomes obedient. It becomes collaborative. My faith was not passive. It was active, transformative, silent, and constant. Before making big decisions, I prayed. Before entering into partnerships, I meditated on the morality of it. And because of that, every dollar I earned had direction. The 12th skill is the vehement rejection of ostentation. Ostentation is an attempt to buy respect with appearances. I never needed that. I preferred to be quietly underestimated than loudly overvalued. While many flaunted their fortunes, I expanded discreetly, because ostentation attracts envy and vulnerability. Simplicity protects, modesty preserves. Real luxury lies in the freedom of not having to prove anything to anyone. The 13th skill is the philosophy of winning even in a crisis. When panic gripped the market, I breathed, I studied, I acted. While others sold assets at desperate prices, I bought opportunities at prices of wisdom. A crisis is a test of the billionaire mind. Those who panic reap scarcity. Those who strategize reap territory. Real wealth is built in moments when the world stops, and you keep going. 14th, the ability to turn insults into motivation. I have been called a usurer, greedy, a predator, and I let every word sink in, not into my heart, but into my furnace. They fueled my silence. They warmed my patience. They drove my execution. When insulted, I doubled my donation. When criticized, I increased my excellence. When doubted, I expanded my numbers. Learn. Insults can be poison or fuel. The choice is yours. 15th skill, taking calculated risks based on opportunity. I wasn't a gambler. I was a strategist. Every risk I took was surrounded by analysis, predictions, and above all, intuition. Yes, trained intuition is a weapon. When you study deeply, your instincts become refined. And when they speak, you listen. Take risks, yes, but never in the dark. Risks should be stepping stones, not abysses. 16th, systematic elimination of waste. I examined each operation like a surgeon examines a heart. If something didn't produce results, it was eliminated. If a process caused delays, it was redesigned. The secret to efficiency is the courage to say no. I said no to unnecessary travel, superfluous luxuries, and pointless meetings. Because every second wasted is a penny lost. And I built a fortune penny by penny. 17th skill, cultivating silence as a strategic weapon. The world talks too much and listens too little. I reversed that order. I remained silent during entire meetings, just observing. While they talked, I analyzed. While they argued, I decided. When I finally spoke, silence fell over the room. Because those who speak little when they speak are heard. Silence is a throne, and those who sit on it, with wisdom, govern negotiations. 18th, big thinking with disciplined execution. Thinking big is useless without small, consistent actions. I thought about dominating an industry and woke up every day at 5 a.m. to review spreadsheets. I dreamed of legacies and reviewed contracts word by word. Great visions require small habits. An empire is built brick by brick, and each of my bricks was laid with monastic precision. Skill 19. Create sources of passive income. It's not enough to work for money. Money must start working for you. Every company I created with the purpose of freeing myself, not imprisoning myself. Every property, every stock, every contract was designed to bear fruit without my constant presence. When your income no longer depends on your physical strength, you come closer to true freedom. Skill 20. Reject consumer debt. I have never accepted debt to buy anything that did not multiply my net worth. Good debt is debt that generates income greater than its cost. Bad debt is debt that feeds the ego and destroys your peace of mind. Buy with profit, not with credit. If you can't pay for it twice, don't buy it. This discipline has saved my peace of mind in times of turmoil. Skill Soccer 21. Building a legacy and multi-generational wealth. I never thought only of myself. I thought of my children's children. I thought of causes I would never see with my own eyes. Building an empire means thinking 100 years ahead. It means planting trees whose shade you may never enjoy. But someone one day will sit there and silently thank your name. These are the 21 skills that shaped my fortune. They weren't learned in expensive courses. They were forged in practice, in silence, in repetition. And they can be learned by anyone who has the courage to abandon the old self and take on the identity of an empire builder. You don't have to develop them all at once. Start with one, the one that touched your soul the most. And if this journey has already sparked something in you, then comment now. This is my time of blessings. Because whoever writes that seals a pact with their own evolution, and the universe begins to respond. Now that you know the 21 financial skills that built my fortune, it's time to dive into something even deeper. Because true transformation isn't just about knowing what to do. It's about becoming the kind of person who does it without hesitation. And this is where the second part of your journey begins. Incorporating these skills into your identity. You can memorize the principles. You can even repeat the phrases. But if your mind is still trapped in old habits, you will sabotage everything when the moment of decision arrives. That's why I always started my construction from the inside. Because the external empire only grows in proportion to the internal fortress. Now, listen carefully. When I was in my early 20s, I didn't have millions yet. But I already thought like a multimillionaire. The difference between me and most people wasn't the money in my pocket. It was the money in my mind. While others dreamed of freedom, I worked quietly for it. While others envied, I learned. And, while everyone talked about luck, I did what needed to be done, day after day, with precision. And so, when the opportunity arose, I was ready. The first transformation you need to undergo now is this: the decision to eliminate all thoughts that justify mediocrity. You are not your current bank account. You are what you choose to do with it. You are not your financial past. You are the discipline you start today. You are not what others say about you. You are what you build when no one is looking. Mindset is practice. It's not about phrases in the mirror. It's about decisions in practice. It's about saying no to what keeps you from your legacy, even when it hurts. It's about saying yes to the effort required, even when it's tiring. And above all, it's about acting like someone who already lives in the reality you want to create. Do you want respect? Respect yourself. Do you want abundance? Treat yourself like a manager of valuable resources. Do you want freedom? Behave like someone who no longer depends on approval, impulse, or excuses. Now imagine that you are entering a silent room. In this room are all your dreams, but they will only get up and follow you if they feel that you are now worthy of leading them. Would you get up now? Would you be prepared to lead your own life? This is the demand of destiny. And that is why, when you incorporate these 21 skills as daily habits, your life begins to respond like fertile soil that has finally found the right seed. But here's the secret. It's not fast. That's why most people fail. They plant and dig the hole expecting the harvest to come the next day. I planted for years. I reinvested for decades. And even with billions in the bank, I continued to think like a servant of the process. Because the real billionaire isn't the one who flaunts their fortune. It's the one who stays true to the discipline that builds fortune. So starting today, I want you to do something with me. For the next 21 days, choose one skill to practice each day. Don't just think about it. Practice it. On the first day, record every penny that comes in and out of your life. On the second day, choose a small amount and reinvest it consciously, even if it's symbolic. On the third day, before making a financial decision, stop, breathe, wait, observe, then decide, and so on. This practice will create something powerful, internal proof that you are becoming a new being. And once you feel that, there is no turning back, because real wealth is addictive. But I'm not talking about financial wealth. I'm talking about wealth of consciousness, the kind that, even before the millions roll in, already makes you walk with confidence, speak with presence, sleep with peace. And when you are in that state, the world responds differently. People respect you. Opportunities appear, doors open, not by chance, but because you have finally learned the language that the universe respects, action aligned with intention. And if you've come this far with me, then something has already changed within you. So I want you to declare it now, simply but powerfully. Comment. It's never too late to start over. Because those who write this are not just declaring it to the world, they are declaring it to themselves. The time of scarcity is over. The age of consciousness has begun. Now that you have assumed this new state of consciousness, it is time to transform that energy into direction. Because knowing what to do and wanting to do it are not enough. You need a path. And that is why, now at this stage, we are going to build your financial execution map, inspired exactly by the way I organized my own wealth journey. You see, there is no freedom without structure. And what sets empire builders apart from eternal dreamers is the ability to turn intention into method. The first element of this map is absolute clarity about what you want to build. If you can't describe your ideal life in detail, you're letting chance write your story. I knew exactly how much I wanted to earn. I knew where I wanted to live. I knew the kind of impact I wanted to make. And every day, my actions spoke to that future. Now stop and ask yourself, are you living like someone who knows where they are going, or like someone who is just trying to survive another week? Clarity eliminates distractions. The second part of the map is what I call solid priorities. Many fail not because of a lack of talent, but because they try to do everything at once. I built Standard Oil with an obsessive focus. While others were opening 1,000 fronts, I was refining oil. While others were jumping from opportunity to opportunity, I was deepening my roots. Only after mastering one territory did I think about expansion. The third point on the map is the daily financial ritual. I had a specific time every day to analyze my cash flow, review contracts, and review indicators. You can't manage what you don't visit often. You need a financial routine, even if it's simple. 5 minutes a day to review your expenses, 10 minutes a week to assess your progress, 30 minutes a month to adjust your route. Those who treat their lives like a business reap the profits of a profitable company. Fourth point, eliminate small invisible losses. Most people become poor not because of big wrong decisions, but because of constant small leaks. Useless subscriptions, silent interest, emotional purchases, invisible waste. I treated every penny like a worker. If it didn't generate a return, it was dismissed. You need to learn to protect your base as if you were protecting the last torch in the middle of a dark forest, because often that's exactly what it is. Fifth point, turn all knowledge into immediate action. You already know a lot. But what do you actually apply? Don't read another book if you haven't applied the last one. Don't watch another video if you haven't acted on the previous one. All information that is not applied is a burden, a weight disguised as wisdom, an excess that, instead of driving you forward, paralyzes you. Now that you have the 21 skills and the roadmap, there is only one thing left. Decide who you are going to become in the next 12 months. And listen carefully. It's not about what you are going to do, it's about who you are going to be. Because in the end, what you do always reveals who you are. Will you be the same as always, the same person who justifies your stagnation? Who says it's not the right time yet, that the world needs to change first, that the past was too cruel, that conditions are not favorable, or will you be the one who lifts your head even when wounded, who commits, acts, and persists? Because if there's one thing I've learned in life, it's that character is what remains when the excitement wears off. I wasn't born a billionaire, I was born ordinary, but I made extraordinary decisions. While others waited for the right time, I started when I could. While others backed down in fear, I moved forward with faith. While many made plans for Monday, I took action on Saturday night. And if there's one truth I can leave you with at this stage of the journey, it's this. Fortune does not belong to the smartest. It belongs to the persistent. Persistence is the greatest superpower in building wealth, because the world may not respect you on the first day, but it can't ignore those who don't give up. And if you're willing to pay the price of discipline, the entire market will pay you the price of freedom. It's simple, but it's not easy, because the modern world wants to convince you that everything needs to be enjoyable, light, intuitive. But wealth is built with weight. The weight of responsibility, the weight of consistency, the weight of saying no to what drains your energy, and yes to what builds your empire, one brick at a time. So now I ask you, declare your identity. Comment below which of these skills you will put into practice immediately, not for me, but for yourself. Because this journey doesn't end here. It has only just begun. Now be silent for a moment. Close your eyes if you can. Imagine yourself 10 years from now. You wake up in a quiet house, surrounded by peace. The world outside may be in crisis, but inside you there is stability, clarity, inner power. You look around. Your life is completely different. Financial freedom, inner peace, silent recognition of someone who has built something real and impact. Real impact on the lives around you. Now look back at what started it all. It was this moment, this decision, this new identity you've decided to take on today. And that's exactly how legacies begin, with a moment of total alignment between desire and action, a moment when you stop playing at getting ready and finally start transforming. And it is at this point in our mentoring that I need to tell you a truth that almost no one talks about, and that when I discovered it, changed my relationship with money forever. Wealth is not just math. It is energy. Money is energy in motion. It flows toward responsibility, clarity, and intention. It moves away from confusion, lack of control, and doubt. You can study all the strategies in the world, but if your relationship with money is still marked by guilt, disorganization, fear, it will continue to slip through your fingers. Because money, my friend, is like a river. It only flows where there is a structure to contain it. That's why, since my first paycheck, I've treated every penny with reverence. I treated my first dollar as if it were a fortune. And because of that, it multiplied. Not because the dollar was magic, but because my mind was already a millionaire. This is one of the invisible laws of wealth. The universe multiplies what you honor. If you treat your pennies with respect, you will receive millions with responsibility. If you take care of the little, you will be worthy of the much. But if you despise the little you have today, you are telling the universe that you are not yet ready for more. And here's another secret that no one ever taught me, but that I learned through practice. Money obeys a disciplined heart. It is attracted to those who do not idolize it, but also do not despise it. It walks alongside those who work with purpose, live simply, and invest wisely. That is how I built an empire amid instability. Because while the world was lost in ostentation, I reinvested. While others wanted to impress, I wanted to endure. In the eyes of the world, it seemed like sacrifice. In the eyes of time, it was vision. And it is that vision that I want to ignite within you now. Because you don't need more answers. You need more action. You don't need more motivation. You need more decision. The life you want is not in the next video. It is in the next action. And maybe it's in the next penny you choose to honor. Now, let's talk about something even more subtle and powerful. The emotional relationship you have with money. If deep down you still believe that money is dirty, if you think that getting rich will take you away from God or the people you love, if you feel guilty for wanting more, you are sabotaging your own progress without even realizing it. That's why I developed the ability to build wealth with spiritual purpose. My faith did not lead me away from wealth. It led me to it, because I understood that the more I prospered, the more I could serve. I built hospitals. I financed universities. I saved lives with scientific research. And all of this came from my choice not to separate money from mission. You don't have to choose between being rich and being honest. You just have to decide that you will be rich with integrity. And for that, there is one last principle that I usually only share with those who have reached the end of the journey. True wealth is silent, invisible, and permanent. It doesn't need to show off. It doesn't shout. It doesn't justify itself. It simply exists. It's there, steady, growing, protecting, serving. And that's the kind of wealth I'm inviting you to build. Solid wealth. Wealth with roots. Wealth that will span generations and transform destinies. But to do that, you will need to purify your beliefs. You will need to rediscover the truth that God did not create you for scarcity. He created you to flourish, to multiply. Money is not dirty. What is dirty is the heart that seeks it out of vanity, dispute, fear, or ego. But when you align money with your mission, it becomes sacred, an instrument of healing, of peace, of justice, of legacy. How many times have I knelt in silence, not to ask for more, but to give thanks for the opportunity to do more? God has tested me with abundance, and that is what many do not understand. Poverty tests endurance. Wealth tests character. So I ask you, are you ready to be tested by abundance? Are you ready to prove that you can be generous without being vain? Are you ready to grow without crushing others? Are you ready to expand without losing yourself? That is the real journey, the journey of those who do not separate prosperity from purpose, the journey of those who know that every penny well spent can change a destiny. And that is why I insist so much. Spiritual discipline is an essential part of wealth. Without it, you get rich on the outside and rot on the inside. With it, you prosper on the outside and flourish on the inside. You see, when I was young, there wasn't much luxury in my home, but there was honor, there was gratitude, and there was work. Blessings didn't fall from the sky like a prize. They came as a responsibility. I learned to see money as a servant, not a master. As a means, not an end. As a tool, not a throne. You don't need to be afraid of money. You just need to prepare for it. You need to learn to save in silence. You need to learn to grow without making noise. You need to learn to give without expecting applause. That is the secret of the great wealth builders with soul. They live in peace with their values. They get rich with honor. They lead with purpose. They love what they do and do it with love. And if you've made it this far, I believe there's something in you that already knows this. Something that doesn't just want a new car or a bigger house, but a life with more meaning. Something in you already understands that true freedom is not doing whatever you want, but rather not being a slave to anything else, not to appearances, not to consumption, not to external validation. I've seen men lose themselves because they didn't know how to handle success. And I've seen men reborn when they understood that the wealth you see will never be as valuable as the wealth you feel. And perhaps that is the last key I can give you today. You will only become truly rich when you can lose everything, and Still keep your essence intact. When your peace no longer depends on your bank account. When your identity is no longer in the brands you wear, but in the values you live by. When your legacy is not what you have accumulated, but what you have multiplied. Now it's up to you. You can close this video and go back to your routine, or you can leave here with a non-negotiable decision. And if that decision is already inside you, then listen carefully to this last truth. You were born for more, and the world is just waiting for you to finally decide to behave like someone who knows it, so declare with courage and commitment. Comment, now I act like someone who was born to prosper. And if this video spoke to your soul, then share it with someone who also needs this transformation. Subscribe to this channel, but more importantly, sign a new contract with your own story, because now it's your turn to act wisely. Subscribe and share this video with those who seek the solid path to true wealth.